Hello everyone, good evening and welcome. Nice to have you all back. Thank you for your company.
Hello, sorry about background. I'm in hospital at the moment, and I'll probably be in hospital tomorrow, so I'll see you there.
So are
Burning
we, so are we.
this karma is doing me good.
We are all in hospital, I think. We are
Uh,
hospital, we are
there is
hospital,
that.
hospital of the Dharma.
Look, can you change the speed of karma? It wasn't quite so fast. That would be nice.
uh, yes,
Oh, I got
it's,
meningitis, so
uh,
it had to go quickly.
oh, of course, Ralph,
Anyway,
yeah.
I'm okay, and I'll be another few days, and then I should go home with luck.
Well, you have to convalesce. You have to,
Well,
yeah.
you, yeah, I have to, and I need to use up my karma as best I can, and it's okay. It's all good. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I will mute myself. Good evening, Rinpoche.
Good evening. Good evening. Nice to hear your voice, and thank you for joining, even though you are in hospital. That's very nice to have you and have everyone. Yeah, I think we should, yeah, even when one is not well, they say let the unwellness become a cause for growth, and so that it does not hold back. It's probably exhausting and burning some calories and of karma, and so therefore knowing that what is ever is one is doing, either going through a medication or some procedures, we are going through to by accepting it, by knowing how fortunate we are to have good hospitals, good these things, thinking those things really, makes us to cope better, and then include others who don't have any health care, who don't have even an appointment with a doctor, they don't get a bed, they don't get anything like that. Millions of people we're talking. In this country, almost everybody gets a bed. Just some people may have to wait because they haven't got uh, private insurance, which is quite a sizable number of people don't have private health insurance. Um, but even without that, still they will eventually get a bed, and still they can always go to anything. Whereas in other countries, people just like us, they haven't got a clue how they're gonna recover from their health. They're all curable, they're all treatable, but they never get to meet the correct practitioners of medicine, or like that. So many die because they don't have access. So I think being able to think like that is a very good way to make the procedure time when we're going through. And these teachings are very much, the perfection wisdom is about that, how to perfect one's tolerance and one's resilience to have a good mental strategy. Uh, so with this, yeah, everyone, we will do the refuge first. When we do the refuge, I'd like you to incorporate the various facets of the teachings of we had. The refuge, when you do the refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, because taking refuge is the noble truth of the path. But what is the noble truth of the suffering when we don't take refuge in the Dharma? When we don't take refuge in the Triple Gem, we take refuge into all kinds of things that are not worthy of refuge. So therefore, we have to learn. We have to be smarten our mind to to see what kind of mental moves we can make that is smart. People try to do 90-second kind of dance on the floor to impress other people, And we can try to see whether he can improve our attitude, our way of thinking, and so not taking refuge in the triple gem. Truth of suffering, truth of origin are the two things we need to abandon, and truth of the path. When we renew our refuge, we need to therefore reflect while doing the refuge. What does this going for refuge, the noble truth path, constitute? And that is about ending the sorrow or suffering caused by unskillful thought, unskillful attitudes, unskillful behavior, unskillful perception, and therefore we want to upskill ourselves with the refuge in the triple gem. So it's not so much someone else put their holy hands on us and then removes our sins or suffering. There's no external savior. It's the teaching is empowering ourselves to be able to think, I would say, very intelligibly and very conscientiously. So when we do the refuge, not only we do that for ourselves, but also we do that for the sake of all sentient beings. So with this in mind, we will do the refuge and generation bodhicitta. Together with that, of course, we are also doing the four immeasurables. So when we do the four immeasurables, and which is facets of the bodhicitta, we need to armor our intention of going for refuge and doing these teachings. We need to make sure bodhicitta is the motivation, however demanding and difficult things are in our life situation. But if we have the right intention, and if we have the true enlightened spiritual friend, the Buddha, and with the unbroken lineage of the human teachers, we will find a self-realizing spiritual friend within ourselves. And through this, we can then truly stay engaged in practicing all the 10 paramitas. Even when we do the refuge, even when we are listening to the teachings, all of those facets of the 10 paramitas and their qualities can be intersected and cultivated. How we align our mind generously, how we discipline our mind with good degree of self-discipline, and how we become patient in enduring hardships, how we diligently, joyously we participate in what we're doing, or you're doing normal everyday work, everything you just do, and then with good degree of concentration and good understanding of wisdom and skillful method and aspiration and power and the wisdom, all of these 10 paramitas and their techniques need to be implemented as we do these prayers as we are really going through the perfection wisdom more, try to experience the meditatively on these 2 more sessions today and another one to go of this last segment of this text. So let's do these prayers. We will just do the screen, share these prayers for you. Join your hands at the heart and make the refuge and prayer that we chant slowly as a meditative and constructive as possible by learning to intersect all those facets to the best of we know, we do, we see, we feel in our conscious effort. Oyenda Buddha Dhamma Sangha Adere Yete Lademe by virtue Ayendala Ajare Vadavadube and Abu Dhamma Sangha Aitere Yete Lademe by virtue Ayendala Ajare Vadavadube bu Tadarama Zanga Aitere Yete Lajama Aivache Ajevendala Aishare Vada Vajuvebe Hendabu Dadama Zanga Aite Revyede Lajama Aivache Ajevendala Aishare Pada Vajuvebe happiness and the cause of happiness may they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering may they never part from the happiness that no suffering may they dwell equanimity, free from judgment and aversion to those that harmful may all beings happiness and the cause of happiness may they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering may they never part from the happiness that no suffering may they dwell equanimity, free from attachment and aversion to those near and far. May all beings happiness and the cause of happiness may they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering may they never part from the happiness and no suffering may they dwell equanimity, free from attachment and aversion to those near and far, according to the intelligent and predisposition of every other yajanda dhamma agelo and common vehicles. So now that we come to the very last bit of the text where Rongton wrote a poem at the end of this before the colophon, and so we're going to do a little bit of reading of that tonight and explain, and then later we will do the meditation in conjunction with the Heart Sutra. Last week we focused mainly by meditating on the 5 aggregates in relation to the teachings, and this week we'll go through the remaining second section of the text, and then last section of that we'll do next week. So, but the teaching here now, the 10th chapter was about omniscience. The omniscience is the actual practice of all of these 10 parameters. I eventually achieves oneself to reach the state of the Buddhahood, which has 3 kayas and 5 wisdoms. So the omniscience are usually what we call, Mahayanist point of view, 3 kayas and 5 wisdoms. And the kaya refers to the forms of enlightenment, and so the 3 forms of enlightenment actually comes from 2 forms, rupa and jnana, dharma. So in the form body and the wisdom body. So form body is rupa kaya, and then wisdom body is dharma kaya. Then when we talk about 3 kayas, the form body is subdivided into 2, with sambhoga kaya and the nirmana kaya, which is the enjoyment body as well as emanation body. So one who has achieved the enlightenment no longer is subjected to under the influence of mistaking oneself as a body, speech, or mind, but rather one realized the adamantine nature of the body as a nirmana kaya, adamantine nature of speech as a sambhoga kaya, adamantine nature of the mind is dharma kaya. So of course the adamantine nature of the body and speech is secondary, where adamantine nature of the mind is the primary, because when you understand the dharmakaya nature of the mind, which is realizing the ultimate nature of things as they are, then but yet you are able to survey the plight of sentient beings who do not see things as they are, who are still deluded in their karmic preoccupation and not able to see. So they are still stuck in their body, in their conventional body, speech, mind, and they still are under that influence. They have not realized Nirmanakaya body. Nirmanakaya body is an emanation of the form that one has deliberately come to aid of others, not forced to have a body which is subjected to go through the sufferings that our ordinary aggregate necessarily have to go through, because our body is body of sufferings. Our body is not only unsatisfactory, but even the satisfactory part of the body are impermanent part of the body. There are no really permanently satisfactory part of the body. The body basically is body of composite that are all collapsible. They are all combustible. They are all deducible to nothing. And so therefore they themselves hasn't got independently truly existing entity in themselves. Yet people are grasping to that body as me and the things as mine. And because of this, they fail they create karma, and then the karma makes them to be reborn with the ordinary karma body. Whereas the enlightened ones who have transcended these, then when they manifest, they manifest in the form of Sambhogakaya in the pure realms, and Nirmanakaya in ordinary realms. And the Nirmanakaya manifests in the world to assist other sentient beings by the deliberate manifestation of excellent Nirmanakaya, like the Shakyamuni Buddha, and other kind of unrecognized incognito bodhisattvas, to assist the beginners. The Nirmanakaya will manifest to the beginners. They will have to tailor their own manifestation to suit the mentality and predisposition of sentient beings, whether they are bodhisattva mentality, whether they are hearers mentality, they are solitary realizers mentality, or they are mundane people mentality. Whatever they are, the enlightened beings come and manifest as Nirmanakaya, like the Shakyamuni Buddha did, like many of the great bodhisattvas and arhats have come to the world as a human beings without any kind of a personages as an enlightened one, but they disguise themselves. They don't actually suffer in the body due to karma, but they deliberately have taken form in the body in order to help other sentient beings who do not know that. So Nirmanakaya manifests among us, and what they do? They do the enlightened activities. They do the activities that are enlighteningly selfless and wise, tolerant, compassionate, like a gem. And this can therefore go to inspire and ripen and then guide other ordinary sentient beings to change their ways, to change their attitudes, change their perceptions, and therefore assist us. And so that's really the gist of the what you call the three kayas. Of course, the Sambhogakaya operate on the level of the bodhisattvas, so which is not a subject for us, because only bodhisattvas, who are advanced bodhisattvas, receive those teachings from the Sambhogakaya. And then the five wisdoms they gain the five wisdoms because they no longer have the mistaken identity, or they do not grasp to the aggregate as self, or of self, or by self. They see the aggregates as a composites of various things that are put together, and all the bits and pieces joined together. There is a piece, whether it's a bell, whether it's a kind of machine or whatever it is. When all the bits and pieces join together, there is a whole. But actually, each of the bits, when they remove it, you couldn't see the whole. So the five wisdoms are that which sees the lack of independently existing I, self, in any of the five aggregates. And so it says that this then can cause liberation for people to from not suffering very long. Even if they do suffer, they will not cling to the aggregate as long as they usually do. But the majority of sentient beings, until their merit component is accumulated and advanced to the level of going beyond path of path of seeing. If they have reached beyond path of seeing, then they don't suffer in the ordinary aggregates. But until they reach that, they will still have certain share of suffering to the aggregates, even though theoretically they know they are not the aggregates, but they still will have the pinch, suffer the pinch of the grasping and the I-ness and selfness, because one can't see the emptiness of self. One can see the realness of the self in the body or of the body. And so therefore you can't complain. You can't turn a blind eye, as you don't when you do. And because we are still in that conventional body. So because when one doesn't have adequate merit, one still identifies the aggregate as self. And so those who have realized three kayas and five wisdoms, of course, will no longer be subjected to those contaminated sufferings as ordinary sentient beings have. And then Rongton goes to write this poem saying, the clouds of 84,000 articles of the Dharma. So this he likens the teachings of the teachings of the perfection wisdom. Or when we say 84,000 articles of Dharma, it refers to the Tripitakas. Tripitaka is three collections. 21,000 collection of the teachings in the Vinaya Pitaka. So we call Vinaya Pitaka 21,000 discourses. 21,000 is Abhidharma Pitaka, and 21,000 them are Sutra Pitaka. So there are 66,000 articles in each of them. Then another additional 21,000 is the combination of these. So altogether, the 84,000 of Dharma are likened to a clouds. He says clouds of the articles of the Dharma, 84,000, cause the timely rainfall. So it's talking about if you conventionally and understand the meanings and definitions of what we went through from the very beginning of these texts about the importance of faith in the perfection wisdom teachings, and then generating the bodhicitta and understanding what are the precepts and armoring the bodhicitta, and all of those things will cause the timely rainfall. Timely rainfall means the teachings that drops make sense on your skin of mind. It's a cooling effect, like a rain drops on your body that is suffering from the heat of the very, very sort of summer heat. During the summer heat, when the rain drops on your skin, the rainfall cools down the heated body of the sun. So therefore, likewise, when you have heard the teachings of the 84,000 doctrines, it becomes a timely rainfall. What does rain do? It softens the grain, it brings chill, it chills the heat, and it ripens the fruit. And likewise, the teachings of the Dharma, when it falls on our dry skin or something like that, then of the elegant teachings, because the teachings are like a soothing balm to this infected skin of life. The wondrous and profound essence of all dharmas is meaningful perfection wisdom teachings. So what is Rongton saying is that this perfection wisdom teaching is meaningful and is wondrous and profound, quintessence of all the 84,000 discourses of Dharma, where the person goes and observe very strict discipline or observe very, very strong kind of ascetic practices, or they study very hard, or whatever they do. All in all, they need to essentialize these profound perfection wisdom teachings of understanding them, because then you will see how wonderfully we can transform our perception, and then the teachings will drop like a rain from the clouds. Otherwise, all the words, all the list of the 22 analogies of the bodhicitta, and what of them are wishing bodhicitta, which of them are engaging bodhicitta, and how to intersect that with the 6 parameters, how to intersect that with the four noble truths, and how to combine all those concepts and ideas, just like the clouds. But the clouds in the sky doesn't do much to the sky. But when it becomes rain, and then we need to see the rain. If Dharma is raining in your life, then it will wash away all the dirt that has been on your life so much that people are covered in dirt of their thoughts and of their emotions and of their habits and of their karma and of their views. They are covered in dirt, and they just need to go in the rain. The rain washes everything. So therefore, it likens all the teachings of Dharma as a downpour of wisdom, and that will wash away all our kind of dirt of karma, of wrong views, of addictions, of opinions, of habits, and so on. And therefore, isn't this perfection wisdom so meaningful? Isn't this perfection wisdom so wondrous? Isn't this perfection wisdom so profound? Isn't this perfection wisdom the essence and quintessence of all the dharmas. So that's the first verse. Then he goes to say in the second verse, the cause of perfect and deep realization of meditation. So meaning when the rain of the Dharma has now fallen on your life and is washing the kind of dirt through listening and through contemplating, because just by listening, the rain of the listening of the Dharma washes away some dirt. But you contemplate subsequently after this session, throughout the week or throughout the rest of the day, you think in Dharma. Of course, it is doing a lot of washing, thinking, contemplating later on, thinking, making that perfection wisdom as your thought, as your kind of philosophy. Yeah, it's just making that as your philosophy of looking at interdependence of all things and so on, how everything lack inherent existing, but not realizing that people grasp to things as real and then create suffering. When you are able to think like this everyday situation conscientiously, then this cause of perfect and deep meditative realization is the doorway to enter the citadel of non-abiding nirvana. So it's talking about that we need to now enter into the citadel of nirvana, of non-abiding nirvana. Yeah, non-abiding means nirvana is not somewhere you go there and you abide there for yourself and then put your feet up. It's non-abiding nirvana. You can actually almost reach that level on your own if necessary, but you rather not, because you have taken a vow as a bodhisattva vow to be in service of sentient beings until all samsara is completely emptied. And therefore, the doorway to enter the citadel of non-abiding nirvana is the meditation on the perfection wisdom, is the meditation on the Heart Sutra, is because it is once you have the rain falling, dirt washing, then you need to feel completely washed, completely clean. And so there is no longer any fixation and no longer any I and me and mine in any of the aggregates. But we still have, but we don't have the same fixation, same clinging to the views and opinions and poor me's and this happened to me, all those things. It does not have the same weight on us anymore. They're still there, but they don't have the same sting on us. Why? Because we have entered into the citadel of non-abiding nirvana through the deep meditation or meditative realization of the perfection of wisdom. The melodious sound of the divine drum showing the way to liberation. Yeah, melodious drum sounding meaning, it doesn't mean you have to always listen to someone like me or others continuously. You are able to hear this like that divine drum. That Dharma is sounding continuously. The wheel of Dharma is always in motion, not only when you're listening, when your mind is switching to it, when your mind is switched on it, that divine sounding, melodious sound of Dharma is drumming all the time. And telling you the way to turn left or not to go backwards or whatever. So you become, I shouldn't be thinking like this. Oh, I shouldn't be saying this. Constantly you're able to, you are being drummed, so to speak. Divine drum is showing the way to liberation because you've heard the Dharma and the Dharma has not left you. People think they should listen to Dharma all the time. It's good if they can listen to Dharma regularly, but when they can't, then they should switch on the memory of what they heard or learned over the weeks, over the months, and then try to it's almost like you download the knowledge and then you play them. You play them. I mean, last time you heard one thing, maybe you can play it. These days, of course, all the YouTube teachings are there always. So you can't say, that we are having a break. There's no teaching course. You miss it. Yeah, you go and to listen any of the teachings up there, and they are all there. I'm sure YouTube is pretty Nirmanakaya. Don't you think YouTube is a Nirmanakaya form of modern Nirmanakaya, really? I mean, everybody can have His Holiness Dalai Lama whenever they wanted to watch. I mean, where do you get that, In the 60s, 70s, 80s, people will travel India. Gosh, firstly, India is so difficult. Secondly, it's very difficult from any levels, Even those days, I remember in the mid 70s, I remember His Holiness Dalai Lama was giving Kala Chakra in Bodh Gaya, and I was there among the crowd. There were still some Westerners, but not many. Not a word was translated those days. Not a word was translated. So people just sitting there hoping they're receiving something, just being there. All the Indian loudspeakers are really, really designed for election kind of campaign. They're not really for soothing Dharma, Dharma discourses. So just you wish you don't have that the loudspeakers, because they just make so much noise. Hardly you can hear much, let alone being translated into your languages. Those days. So now there's none. No, you don't have any of that. All the teachings are translated in the language of your choosing. They're basically 20, 30 languages they're translating simultaneously, and without affected by the main language in which it's spoken. So nowadays we can basically hear the melodious sound of Dharma always drumming, Divine drum is always sounding, so that people don't forget, so that people don't fall asleep in the slumber of samsara. And therefore it says the victorious mother's elegant teaching blossom with 100 petals. So now this is just image of the picture, that there's rainfall, there's clouds, and then raining, and now it opens the door to nirvana, and you hear the amazing sound of Dharma, and then the victorious mother refers to the mother of perfection wisdom. That's the Heart Sutra as a goddess, because of Heart Sutra as a text, Heart Sutra as a deity. Deity means knowledge. Deity means friend, Deity. Your friend is the knowledge of perfection wisdom. It's not a little pretty Indian goddess. We're not talking about that. I mean, so goddess figure is given because people admire goddesses, But actually, more impressive is the perfection of wisdom goddess. she's always with you. She will never desert you. She's a mantra that surpasses all the mantras. Remember that. Perfection, wisdom. So your deity your friend is this knowledge. This knowledge of perfection, wisdom is your deity. And that deity is the victorious mother's elegant teachings. These contents of the perfection, wisdom that you heard is the mother of all the Buddhas. And that will cause many blossoms with hundreds of petals in your life. You will see lots of blossomings in your life. Yeah, somebody screams at you, attacks you verbally, you don't seem to get hurt at all, because you can see the emptiness of sound, and emptiness of ear, and emptiness of true existence. You can see the impermanence of what they said, and lack of inherent meaning under what they said. It depends to your own dependent totally to your own mental origination. So because it's dependent on your interpretation, what you heard doesn't have any independently hurtful existence. Why? Because that's the lotus petal. Even people saying harsh thing to you may become a lotus petal. So there is no, you don't have to discriminate what people said or what didn't they say. Everything, all sound is emptiness. All sight is emptiness. So that's what we will come later on when we do the Heart Sutra. It says just as the form, feeling, perception are empty, likewise this eye organ, ear organ, and so on. So when you can do that, even if somebody said something, or somebody showed a rude gesture to you, or to someone you love, or whatever, you don't take that as offense, but you see that as an empty of independently existing gesture. It is just your own connotation or interpretation of that will. So therefore, if you're able to bring the perfection, wisdom, understanding that, you will see that many, many petals blossoming in your life, because you now have the deity. The deity is not a deity as a god, but deity is actually a friend. The friend is knowledge. The friend is the knowledge of the perfection of wisdom. Remember we were talking about spiritual friend, enlightened spiritual friend, human spiritual friend, self-realization spiritual friend. Now this is the friend that is the deity, the knowledge. When you have the knowledge of the perfection of wisdom that you have not forgotten, that you are able to ready to apply in every given situation, that is the deity. Deity is, the Sanskrit word for deity is Ishtamitra. Ishtamitra means special friend. So most people think special friend is some other corporal body. So now we are looking for the real friend. Special friend is the deities, is the knowledge. Some people have only books. That's the best friend of the books. Because when they read the books, they just have a lot of friends. They can't put that down because the book gives so much friendly, useful wisdom, snippets of wisdom, and it just looks after you. It gives you guidance. It shows you there. It opens the door. It makes the flower blossom you. Why? Because your deity is the knowledge. Deity is the knowledge. Later on in the Heart Sutra it says, it's the knowledge that transcends all knowledges. These knowledges. It's the mantra that pacifies all suffering. That is the deity that is the mantra. Not the mantra that you have to recite for the deity. Come on. That's not the kind of deity yoga we are talking about. You're not doing Zambala so that your Bitcoin investment increases. That's not that kind of mantra. No, this is not mantra for a deity. This is the deity itself. It's the knowledge itself is the deity. Knowledge itself is the deity. Then you will become victorious from the opposite or lack of the correct knowledge. Yeah? You're a victorious mother. Yeah, mother meaning she's constantly giving birth. She's fertile. She's always giving birth. Every single encounter with life situations, they're all causes to awaken you. So, she's a fertile mother. If you understand emptiness, everything is a fertile ground to realize lack of independently existing things out there. Of course, then many, many blossoms will ripen in your life. How long you have to wait? You don't have to wait. Everything, every opportunity. There is not a single dull moment or dull place, dull object that is not non-object of meditation of perfection wisdom. You don't need perfection wisdom as a text. You don't need a perfection wisdom as a deity. You need the perfection wisdom as a knowledge. Knowledge that accompanies you, that becomes the constitution of your mind. That is the deity. That is the friend. That is the friend, self-realizing friend that you have. The solar mandala of Maitreya's teaching. So now here Rongton gives another analogy. He's went through the cloud analogy and the rainfall, and then he gave the analogy of the divine drum, and then he gave the analogy of the lotus petal. Now he's going to give the analogy of the solar mandala of Maitreya's teaching, because what he's saying is these perfection wisdom teachings are captured in the Mahayana Sutra Alankara. Mahayana Sutra Alankara is a very long text, versified text, which is one of the important curriculum of the monastics in Tibetan Buddhism. And it is said to be one of the 5 signs of Maitreya. And so Rongton, when he wrote this, he encapsulated the meaning of the Maitreya's writing on Mahayana Sutra Alankara in this prose, in this writing of prose. So therefore his solar mandala of Maitreya's teaching. Why? Mandala means that's complete circle. So in the Maitreya gave this teaching to Asanga, Mahayana Sutra Alankara, Uttara Tantra, Dharma Dattu Vibhanga, and Madhyanta Vibhanga, and so all these 5 texts, this is called the complete mandala, radiate the warm rays to give meaning to all life. What does the sun do? What does the sun do? Sun, without the sun, no crops ripens, no garden grow, no plant grow, no cloth get dried, no point of having solar thing set up on your roof, okay? If there's no sun, what is your solar thing? Nothing, you need an inverter. So like that, solar rays of the Maitreya's teaching radiate the warm rays to give meaning to all life. So therefore, once you have lent your ears and attention to hear the teachings of perfection wisdom, which is the quintessence of this solar mandala of Maitreya's teaching, now radiating these warm, soothing rays of life to the sentient beings who have been so frozen and chilled by loneliness and grief and selfishness and anger and resentment. Oh, they're so frozen. They're all frozen by poor meanness. And by the warm rays of light of the Maitreya's teaching, the bright and beautiful flower blooms with deep meanings. Yeah. Then your garden of life is now everything, all the flowers blossoms like in spring, and you become a spring. May the teachings of the perfection wisdom bring spring to your life. Bring spring to your life. It just came from nowhere, that one. Bring spring to your life. So that beautiful flowers blooms with deep meanings. Beautiful flower, deep meanings, because when you realize emptiness, wow, the blame, the hurt, the anger, the resentment, the betrayal, the hurt, all of this becomes such a pitiful thing easy to reject. It's just not living. Being angry, being hurt, being upset, being this is so self-centered. It's such a frozen. And when you hear the teachings of the perfection wisdom, it thaws everything. It warms everything. It completely brings a new life and everything, and therefore have a deep meaning. It wasn't just a hobby type of thing you study once a week. It has a deep meaning to your rest of the week. It has a deep meaning to your all the past years that you didn't handle things very well. It has such a meaning, not just for now, but it has such a deep meaning that you reflect back and reinterpret some of the old things, you assess them, analyze them. It will give you great sort of fitness and wisdom to blossom all those past flowers that never blossomed, They are wrapped up in anger, they're wrapped up in resentment and guilt and self-loathing. And now you bring these teachings and look at those issues. You will bring the spring into those lives as well. And then you misunderstood somebody in the past. You realize, gosh, it was due to my self-centeredness, due to my grasping to things as real and them and feelings and so on. It is because of that I failed to thaw myself or stay very frozen and stay very kind of hurt. Lots of people are like that. They're just caught up in their little troubles, and they have no intention to thaw it or warm it or get rid of it. They have no deep meaning. They have deep sorrows. Their sorrows have no meaning. If those who understand the teaching of the perfectionism, the deeper the sorrow, deeper the compassion, deeper the wisdom to work with sorrow and sorrowful sentient beings. You don't reject sentient beings with sorrow. If you do that, what's the point of you having perfection wisdom? You don't have any perfection wisdom. You're meant to be practicing what we call non-abiding nirvana. You want to resign, do you? What's that resignation? All these people resigning. What the hell are they talking about? They don't remember bodhisattva vows. How can you resign over small situations? That's not deep meanings. That's shallow. Because something didn't work with you, something didn't work with them, and you don't want anything to do with it. See, it's so shallow. That's why you get so, and you do that some 1 time, 2 time, and you have this heavy load of resentment towards them and towards yourself on what you blundered. and you will never be able to unload it from your head. You're always carrying this heavy burden because you never know how to bring the deep meanings to light up yourself, to bring the spring into your life. Yeah, deep meanings. Streaming nectar of profound instruction will quench the thirst. Yeah, that's right. When you have truly lent your ears to the deep meanings of perfection wisdom, this is just like a constant stream of nectars of wisdom will quench all the thirst, all the cravings you have, all the wantings and searchings you have. Now you have found. Everybody's looking for something, but most haven't found it. You know, most people are seekers, you know, but very few have found it. You know, so those who have found to discover perfection wisdom, some people call it discovering Buddhism or something, you know. This is another ism, you know. This is discovering perfection of wisdom. Perfection, if you even discovering Buddhism is really discovering perfection of wisdom, don't you think? Otherwise, what's discovering Buddhism? All the cultural kind of baggages of Buddhism is quite a load in itself, you know. All this misunderstanding between people because of the cultural trappings of Buddhism. You know, we need to understand the culture like the shell, but in the shell of culture, we need to get to the nut of the teaching. The nut is the perfection of wisdom. Without discovering perfection of wisdom, there is no discovering of Buddhism. Oh, you know how to put the prayer flags, you know how to put the prayer bowls, you know how to put the mandalas and things like that. Sure, of course, those are handy too. That's just discovering Buddhist rituals, but that Buddhist ritual is not accepted to other countries. So what kind of discovering Buddhism is that? Oh, that's what you guys do. Yeah, you guys do. Oh, your lot do that. We don't do that. We do this way. That's not Buddhism. that's a cultural garb of Buddhism. You know, real discovering Buddhism is perfection of wisdom. While we respect and honor the very cultural aspect of Buddhism that we learn, but we shouldn't be caught up in that and then compare with others, saying what they have is right, wrong, what we have got is right. That is completely missing the point. So that's why the actual discovering wisdom will quench the thirst. Quench the thirst that when you look at other people's way of doing Dharma, you rejoice them more than you previously didn't like them or didn't want to know about them. Previously, you would say, no, I don't want to go there. That's not my school. They're not the that kind of mind, you know. Now you are quenching your thirst more. Each time you look at it, Buddha's teaching is incredible, incredible. These people practice that way. It helps them to their levels because that's the Buddha has deliberately tailored the teachings to suit people of different level of intelligence. To some he said there's suffering, to others he said there's no suffering, and so on and so forth. And those who are ready to understand there's no suffering will really get it later on as a perfection of wisdom. But others will be always caught in the conventional reality. But in the meantime, the teaching is quenching your thirst, that's for sure. So that analogy of the the solar rays of the Maitreya's teaching radiate warm rays to the all meaning of life, ripening them like fruits and flowers and so on. And when there is flower, there's nectar. Remember, it's the nectar that quenches the thirst. It's the nectar that quenches the thirst. You know, and so therefore, you know, the nectar, they have to be substance. So the substance of which we are referring to is the perfection of wisdom. So now let us move to do the Heart Sutra, and I will guide you through the like an analytical meditation Heart Sutra, because we need to feel how the teachings of perfection wisdom is making many petals to blossom, many warm rays of the sun, chilling our sufferings and quenching our thirst, and showing us the way that opens the door, that we don't feel closed and stuck, but we instead feel completely kind of at ease. You know, we just rest at ease in meditation and profound illumination. So with this, we now do the Heart Sutra. So we'll do the screen sharing of the Heart Sutra. Of course, here when we say paying homage to the perfection, wisdom, blessed mother, you know, if you think of is a deity, it is a deity. But if you think of as a knowledge, is the knowledge that is the deity. What is a deity? Deity is a friend. So you're basically really honoring the knowledge, you know, the knowledge. Knowledge is so powerful, you know. Particularly if what you know is correct and accurate. You know, even enlightenment is the highest knowledge. It's not a place, not a status. It's the knowledge that empowers people. It's knowledge that opens people's eyes. So when we say we pay homage, you know, culturally we pay homage to statues, culturally we pay homage to symbols of the Buddha's body, speech, and mind. But students who understand the perfection wisdom, we are remembering the body of the perfection wisdom teachings. You remember that. So with this in mind, we will read as far as a little bit the prologue of the sutra, which is talks about the how the conversation began, and then after that we'll pause, and then I'll lead you the meditation. So join your hands at the heart, and then we reflect on the profound event when the Heart Sutra was taught in Bodh Gaya, and that has never stopped humming ever since then. And divine drum definitely was struck then, and is evergreen sound of truth. And when we're reading this, we only bringing to our conscious, audible mind level, but deep down knowledge, we should always remain with that state of understanding of emptiness. To the perfection wisdom, the blessed mother, I pay homage. Thus I've heard at one time, the blessed one Bhagavan was dwelling in Rajgriha on Vulture's Peak, together with a great assembly of Sanghas and a great assembly of Bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One was absorbed in Samadhi on the enumeration of the phenomena called profound illumination. Also at that time, the Bodhisattva, the Mahasattva, superior Avalokiteshvara, was contemplating on the meaning of the profound perfection wisdom, and he saw that the five aggregate also are empty of inherent existence. Then, through the power of the Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said to the Bodhisattva, the Mahasattva, the superior Avalokiteshvara, how should son or daughter of a good lineage train, who wishes to practice the profound perfection wisdom? Thus he spoke, and the Bodhisattva, the Mahasattva, the superior Avalokiteshvara said this to Venerable Shariputra. Shariputra, emptiness, Shariputra, whatever son or daughter of good lineage wishes to practice profound perfection wisdom should view in this way, they should correctly view the five aggregate also as empty of inherent existence. Emptiness is a form. Emptiness, form is emptiness. Emptiness is not other than form. Form is not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, composition factors, and consciousness are empty. So we have done that analytical meditation up to that last week. This time now we will do the meditation on the 8 profound realization. This 8 profound realization is Shariputra. That is what Avalokiteshvara says. In the same way, meaning in the same way as you have see the emptiness of form and feeling, so on, all phenomena are merely empty. Whatever the phenomena are, whether it's your status, whether it's what you think somebody did, or whether it is something you are going through difficulties, whether you think that something hasn't worked very well, even those that work very well, even those that haven't worked very well. All phenomena between matter and consciousness, between heaven and hell, between you and the moon, are all empty. So there isn't anything that is exceptionally real, because when it says that one should view also these things, means that not only self is empty, but all the things that self sees in the phenomena are all empty. And they are without characteristic. That's the second profundity. Without characteristic meaning, when we say, conventionally we say the characteristic of fire is burning, characteristic of water is fluid. But water is not fluid to the water. Fire is not burning to the fire. So there is no real characteristic. They are without character. This fire has no characteristic on its own. Fire is not burning to the wood. Fire is only burning to us as animate human beings and animals. For us they are, but fire is not independently burning to the fire or anything else. Fire is only burning to those who have feelings like we are. So water is only fluid. Water is a fluid, not to the water. Water is not fluid to the floor. Water is a fluid only to living beings. So therefore, there is no independently existing characteristic. Say some people don't like somebody's characteristic. We think their characteristic is truly there. That we don't realize their characteristics are just our own imputation, our labeling of them, designating them as they are these characteristics. I don't like him. I don't like they do this to me. That sort of thing. All their characteristic is your perception. That's why five aggregate, meditating on the five aggregate is a little bit advanced. But these eight, breaking these things in eight, that's like all phenomena are empty, not just forms and so on. They are also all phenomena, so they refers to all phenomena are also without any independently existing characteristics. The tall horse is not tall horse to the tall horse. Tall horse is tall horse only to those who are looking at the horse. The horse doesn't think he's a tall, particularly if there's not a short one next to it, Even the tall horse doesn't exist tall unless it has a shorter horse next to it, Because if you bring another taller horse next to the tall horse, then the tall horse becomes short horse. So there is no inherently existing characteristic of an object from its own side. So therefore we need to meditate on that. We may have sometimes, he's like that, she's like that, they aren't like that. Then we sort of resent them or put a kind of strong opinion towards somebody, and we get stuck ourselves in that generalization of stigmatizing someone. So we shouldn't do that. Why? They do not have that independent characteristic. They are not created. Yeah. So they are not created doesn't mean they are not created. They are not created means they are not created by themselves. Okay? So that means then whose creation is that? That's the ball falls back to us. Ball is now in our court, and they are not created by themselves. So if they are created, they're created not independently, not inherently, not permanently. Even if they're created, what they're created is only dependently created, not by themselves, and they do not cease. Yeah, and also they do not. They do not cease. Meaning they do not. If they are not created, of course they cannot cease, because only what is created will be uncreated. So they do not cease by themselves. Of course they will cease. Of course fire will cease as a fire, but not to the fire. Fire will cease to the person like us who want the fire. When you don't add the fuel to the fire wouldn't burn, because fire doesn't exist from its own side. Fire is not fire from its own side. Fire is made out of fuel and other things. So the fire itself do not create by itself or do not cease by itself. Of course, fire will go out. Fire go out not because fire goes out, because we have not created causes for the fire. So therefore, fire is not something does not cease, do not cease by itself. So they do not cease means they do not cease by themselves. So don't wait on them to cease, because they are not even aware they exist. They don't know that their existence is there. It's we who have imputed as what is and what isn't. And they have no impurity. Now this is very important. They have no impurity means if you see something has a kind of wrong things, whether it's fault or weakness or whatever, they have no inherently existing impurity. It doesn't mean they have no impurity. It's saying there is no impurity that inherently exists. That's very, very important. There are impurity, of course, relatively speaking. But relatively speaking, existing impurity, of course, is not a real problem, because you can they are propped up by many things. But there is no inherently existing impurities, and also they are not devoid of inherently existing impurity. Yeah, they're not devoid of impurity. They are dependently existing. Yeah, they all have dependently existing impurity. So don't think the people have no faults, because they are not devoid of impurity that is dependently existing, but they are not devoid of impurity that is inherently existing. Yeah, so when the word not is talking about inherently existing. They are not inherently devoid of impurity. They are dependently existing impurities. So, and likewise, they do not decrease or increase. So, meaning that they do not independently increase. When sometimes we might think, oh, he loves me more than he did before. We think there's an increase of love or decrease of love. They do not independently increase love towards you or decrease love towards you. When you have ill will, you will see the decreasing of their love towards you. So therefore, they do not decrease independently by themselves. Most people wrongly think, oh, he doesn't love me, where he treats me. We don't realize our own ill will and resentment is making it as though it is truly his decreasing of love towards us. He does not independently can decrease his love or increase his love. It's your projection. Both of these things. So increase, decrease doesn't mean here. Say for instance, the water in the glass. Water in the glass is not decreasing by itself. Water in the glass is decreasing because I'm putting it in my mouth. I'm drinking. So it looks like decreasing in the glass, but increasing in my tummy. So the increase and decrease of things, whether you look at the things just object like that, or increase of love towards you, or increase of resentment by you to somebody, that you're not decreasing your love towards them. It's totally dependent. So don't blame on yourself. It's all my fault because I didn't love him enough, and then you belt yourself. There is no decreasing of your love that is independent of them. They are totally dependent of the others and a litany of other causes and conditions. Therefore, they are decrease of love, but dependently decrease of love, or dependently increase of love or hate or connection or friendship or relationship or decreasing of a relationship. If there's a decreasing of relationship, we can accept it, because there's no truly decreasing of love relationship from them, if it wasn't from you as well as from them and many other multitude of causes and conditions. So because of that, you don't say, oh, we are not friends anymore, it's a terrible, and it's either your fault or their fault. That's terrible. And when you do that, that's dualistically harmful to yourself and others. So knowing that the friendship do not truly increase by you or truly decrease by you or by the other is the nectar we were talking before. Is the nectar. Why is it nectar? Because you wouldn't place enmity if there is a kind of a dependently existing decrease of your friendship with somebody. Why you should feel sad? You should feel liberated. It's good, good that there is not much imposition or attachment from each side. It's good. So you are slowly and gradually and gracefully decreasing, but that decrease of your friendship is not independently by you or independently by them. It does not that actual increase or decrease of friendship doesn't exist at all. There's just a fantasy that there is an increase, you feel good, there's a decrease, there's a bad. It's just fantasy. You don't say in emptiness there's an increase or decrease of friendship. Who is there to increase for and increase against? when there is no I, when there's no I that is seeing all of this, there's no actual increase or decrease of everything. So these are the 8 profound realizations, so let's meditate on that, those 8 points. Right now we will pause here for a little while, and you can recite the Heart Sutra mantra, which which is border. We can scroll it down, and then later we can go back to the text and read the rest. Because the Heart Sutra is the mantra tadyatha gate paragate parasangate bodhi soha is the actual. It says, therefore the mantra of perfection wisdom is the mantra of great knowledge. So that is the path of accumulation level of the mantra of emptiness. The unsurpassed mantra is part of preparation level of the mantra. Mantra means to guard your mind from wrong views. And the mantra equal to the unequal is the path of seeing level mantra. Mantra that thoroughly pacify all suffering, that is the path of meditation level of the Heart Sutra mantra. Because it is not false, it is known as the truth. That is the path of normal learning. So those sentences before the mantra, therefore the mantra of perfection wisdom is proclaimed. Yeah. So let's chant that mantra for a little while meditating on the 8 profound realizations. Parasangade bodhi so. Sangade bodhi so. Om Gade Gade Parangade Parasangade Bodhi so. Adyada angade gade parangade parasangade bodhisattva. 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 So now we scroll down the text. Yeah, go back, sorry, go back. Scroll down and go back. where we just finished the 8 profound realization. Okay? So we have the increase and decrease. So that's the 8 profound realizations. Now next is meditating on the 18 ayatanas. 18 ayatanas are six sense objects, 6 sense organs, and 6 sense consciousness. So meditating on those. So it says therefore meaning that if you have understood the emptiness of the form, feeling, perception, volition, and consciousness and 5 aggregates, as well as these 8 profound realizations, meaning so therefore means now and Shariputra. So therefore, now we are the Shariputra. We have to meditate ourselves as the intelligent candidate, like the Shariputra, who can see this very clearly. In emptiness, in everything that is empty of inherent existence, there is no form. So there's no form refers to no form to the eye, that is form, no form that is to the ear, that is sound, no form that is to the nose, that is the smell, no form that is to the tongue, that is the taste, no form that is to the to the body, that is touch, that are truly existing. Because why? Because in emptiness there is no form. So in the emptiness, that the glass could be a form to the eyes, but glass is not a form to the ears, for instance. So there's only dependent, only in relation to the sixth sense object, the sixth sense organ, there is a relationship. But in reality, there is no inherently existing form. Therefore, in emptiness, there is no form, and there is no feeling, no discrimination, no composition factors, no consciousness. So that lists us 5 aggregates, yeah, 5 aggregates, which is now encapsulating summarizing what has so far discussed. Then, and likewise, now likewise, there is no I. So no inherently existing I that is not dependent on form. No inherently existing ear that is not dependent on sound. No inherently existing nose that is not dependent on smell. No inherently existing tongue that is not dependent on taste. No inherently existing body that is not dependent on touch. And no inherently existing mind that is not dependent on phenomena. So that lists all the 6 sense organs. 6 sense organs are only dependently, like there is eye to see the color, but there's no eye to hear the sound. So therefore, there's no inherently existing eye that sees everything. There's only eye that can see form, but within certain given. Some people can't see more than 10 meters, They go short-sighted. They go far-sighted. Some people put glass, also they can't see. So the glass, if they don't wear the glass, there definitely is no form. So that shows they got 2 very gorgeous eyes, but there is no form. Why? Because no inherently existing eye without the lens or without the glass, without the form, there is no eye. And likewise, don't say, I saw with my own eyes. No ear. So people say, I heard it myself. And then people think it's so true. It's a really sort of make a big drama because they heard something. Because they are thinking their ear is the only ear that can hear the thing. Some people don't hear that at all. It's you are the one who heard it that way. So what you heard, your ears do not truly exist. And so nor does your nose. Some people don't have any smell. Like the dogs, Dogs got very good smell, but most humans got not a really. They all have living next to an attached bathroom, but they couldn't smell their dung. No smell, no nose, as if we have no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind. And likewise, then they're corresponding. So you have the 5 aggregate, 6 sense organs, now 6 sense object, no form, no sound, no smell, no taste, no touch, no phenomena. So those are the 6 corresponding objects of the subjects, consciousness. So organs, object, and then the next line, there is no I element, and so forth, meaning I element means eye consciousness, visual consciousness, and so forth means auditory consciousness, and olfactory consciousness, and gustatory consciousness, and tactile consciousness, and no mind element means mental consciousness, up to elemental mental consciousness. So that last line lists all the 6 consciousness, on top of the 6 sense objects, on top of the 6 organs, that's the 18 ayatanas. So we already got the 5 aggregates there. So that's 5 plus 18 is 23. 23 knows there. 23 knows there. And so now we'll few more recitation of the same Heart Sutra mantra, meditating on those 18 ayatanas. Ayatana means constituents, the sense object, sense organ, and sense consciousness, because you could not have eye or ear or nose or any one of the sense organs is what we call form. There's also form. I is also form aggregate. I is also feeling aggregate. I also discrimination aggregate. I also is composition factor. I also is consciousness. So the five aggregates are it's completely, is permeating to every six sense organs, six sense objects, six sense consciousness. For instance, for us to see the car is a form, but form is aggregate, That's inanimate form is aggregate. So the form that there is no car in the car. So when it says there's no form, means there's no car in the car. When you take all the parts of the car away, there's no car in the car. There is bonnet, there's windscreen, there is a steering wheel, there's a seat, and there is wheels. There is all the different parts. There is no car in the car. There's only non-cars. when you start looking in the form of the car, there's all non-cars. Same goes with the whatever. So when you dissect everything, there is no form of the car in the car. There is non-car forms. There is windscreen. There is this, but there is no truly existing car. So when it says no form, meaning you shouldn't get attached to forms as independently truly existing. But we do. Most of the time we're suffering because we're attached to an object, whether animate or inanimate. When it breaks and when it no longer works, we get really devastated. We think we have lost something. But actually we have not lost anything. If you're not attached to it, there's no form that whatsoever that is truly existing, Everything is crumbled, just a pile of rubbles. The buildings are standing up, it's good. When they're demolished, there's only a pile of rubbles. There's no building there. There's no real building there. They're just propped up with a lot of matchsticks put together. It's just a little bit bigger than matchsticks. But in the end, we shouldn't get attached to anything because there's no real form that you lose. Even the one yourself is not truly existing, let alone the form. So those 18 ayatana together with the 5 aggregates. So there's 6 organs, 6 sense objects, 6 sense consciousness. These are called 18 ayatanas, 18 constituents. So we can now chant the mantra a little bit, meditating on that very meanings. Tadyada angade gade parangade parasangade bodhisattva tadyada angade gade parangade parasangade bodhisattva tadyada angade gade parangade parasangade bodhisattva tadyada angade gade parangade parasangade bodhiswa. Tadyada angade ngade parangade parasangade bodhiswa. So in relation to the mantra recitation and the meditation on the liberation from the 18 ayatanas, we have to always intersect those 5 paths. It says the mantra that we have chanted is actually not the real mantra. The real mantra is the knowledge. The perfection wisdom mantra is the mantra of great knowledge. The great knowledge that the form, that the sight, the sound, the smell, taste, and touch do not independently exist whatsoever, and therefore one should not see them as truly existing. That is the knowledge. That is the mantra of great knowledge. Even without reciting, you don't have to recite it. You just have to relish it. You have to relish that. Great knowledge is knowing, I know. They say, that's right. There is no form, there's no sound, there's no language of abuse, there's no language of praise you should get attached to, no language of abuse you should get. People say, there's an incident, he screamed at me, he did this, and then create an incident report. Then create a big show, you know, and then try to make a big thing out of nothing, And that's not a great knowledge at all. That's a great suffering. How do you practice compassion? You have to have practice of great knowledge. Is knowing sentient beings haven't got this knowledge at all. Because of that they are suffering, poor thing. Because of that they're languishing in sorrow and poor me, and he did this, they did this to me. Because they think they are truly existing and they don't have this great knowledge of gone, means it's gone, means it's not there anymore. They're still stuck long time, 20 years ago, they're still stuck there. They have never seen the calendar change. They're just still stuck in the past. They could not move because they have not left. They're stuck in there like a ghost. They're not gone, they're stuck. But to unstuck them, then they have to meditate on this mantra, this knowledge. So that's the path of accumulation. The unsurpassed mantra is the mantra that is no higher mantra than that. This is the path of preparation, where you have deep meditative realization, where you have the heat, where your realization of emptiness peaks, your compassion towards others peaks, because you know they don't have this knowledge. Therefore they suffer, poor thing. And so because of that, your compassion is boosted by the great knowledge. Your compassion is not emotionalized. Your compassion is boosted by the unsurpassed mantra to other sentient beings, because it heats up, it peaks, and it has huge forbearance ability. You can now have the amazing level of tolerance in your mind. Why? You are now going through the path of preparation, unsurpassed mantra. It just excels all the knowledge that you previously had. Previously, you have intellectual knowledge. You have only the kind of theoretical knowledge. You have the book knowledge. You have the academic knowledge. Now you have the real great knowledge that surpasses the ordinary, because it keeps you the excellence of the Dharma, and you truly rediscover another perfection of wisdom. There's no one discovery of perfection wisdom. There's levels of discovery of perfection wisdom. Why? Because there are 5 paths. Mantra equal to the unequal. Yeah, This knowledge, with this knowledge, you don't have to have different mantras for different things. You just need this mantra, this knowledge, and then use it with all. It's like the panacea. It's a mantra that is like a panacea. It's like the gold transforming elixir. All base metal will be turned into gold if you have the alchemist mixture of the thing that turns all base metal into metal gold. Likewise, if you have this knowledge, then it is unequalable with any highest form of mantra. What is the mantra? The knowledge of meditation on the profound emptiness. Of course, we are reciting Ta Gate Gate Paragate because that's all we can do. But those people who know how to be in meditative state of path of seeing, of course, they are not necessarily saying the mantra, because it is not the mantra that is equal to the mantra that need to be said 10 million. all this burdensome job, people saying you should say 20 million mantras. This mantra is not matchable by numbers. This mantra is knowledge mantra. Knowledge mantra is not matching the quantity by equaling the number, more the merrier, more mantra you say. This is not the kind of word uttered mantra. This is the mind uttered mantra. Mind uttered mantra. Yeah. That is the path of seeing, Mantra that thoroughly pacify all suffering. That's the path of meditation. Yeah. Then you will stay in meditative state. That this mantra of perfection wisdom, the knowledge, this mantra is the knowledge of the perfection wisdom. Mantra is the code. Mantra is the password. But actual thing by using the password you get is the knowledge. Okay? Don't get attached to the password and forget them, Remember, password is to remember the knowledge. Password is to remember the knowledge, which is the great knowledge. Mantra that thoroughly pacify all sufferings. Why? Suffering do not exist. You don't have to pacify suffering that doesn't have to exist. You don't have to purify the suffering that doesn't exist. This is not nihilism, This is not nihilism. You still do on the level you are at, but those who are on the path of meditation, which is the fourth path, for them, they don't have suffering. Their body completely in a bliss. Their mind is ecstatic state. Physical pliancy, mental pliancy in that meditative state. Because it is not false, it should be known as the truth. That's the path of normal learning. That mantra is the truth. That knowledge is the truth. Knowledge has to be truth. Knowledge that actually, technology that actually teaches you, produces you the thing, the medicine is good. That's the truth. The truth of the matter is that is the fact. Emptiness is not some kind of a coping strategy. It is the fact. We are caught in the fiction as it is something else. Now we get to know the actual truth. So that is the mantra. Now we scroll down and go back where, scroll down. If you, yeah, well, down. You can call it up, but I can see down, going down. The text is, yeah. So where we finished, yeah, there.
The scroll bar is down and the text goes up. So which do you want?
That's right, both are relative. Yeah. So now we have come to the liberation from the 12 links of interdependent origination, as well as the Four Noble Truth, and the wisdom and attainment and non-attainment. So therefore it says there is no ignorance and no exhaustion of ignorance and so forth. So this is a really important good news. Usually we are always daunted by ignorance, isn't it? and says there is actually no ignorance you need to worry, because there's no truly existing, there's no independently existing ignorance whatsoever, let alone that which need to be exhausted. That ignorance does not independently exist. The tree doesn't have ignorance, the car doesn't have ignorance. It's the human beings who's grasping to itself, it's truly exists, is have the ignorance. But there is no truly existing ignorance even in human beings. They have the, what we call, dependently produced ignorance, but there is no inherently, independently, truly existing. So there is no ignorance and no exhaustion of ignorance. So you don't have to really exhaust ignorance that doesn't exist, and so forth, means the other 11 links. The other 11 links are, after ignorance, you have what we call mental formation. The mental formation is usually depicted by a person making pottery. And so therefore our mental formation means volition also do not exist independently. You can't make a cake just by thinking. You have to non-cakes to make cakes. So therefore there is no volition that independently produces cake. It has to depend on flour, it has to depend on other ingredients and the tools and pots and things like that. So there is no independently existing mental formation. That's the second link. And you have to know there is exhaustion of that volition. And third is the consciousness. Consciousness is usually the monkey jumping up and down. So also we already know the consciousness doesn't independently exist. There is only relatively diluted consciousness exists, but there is no impermanently existing consciousness. So there is no consciousness, no exhaustion of consciousness. And then after that, fourth link is name and form. Name and form is usually depicted by the man with his boat. So the the name and form represent 5 aggregates, because the person is the consciousness, the boat and oars and everything else is the 4 other aggregates. So the 5 aggregates do not exist. Name and form doesn't exist. Name and form does not get created at all from its own side. There is no name and form that truly exists. There is only a name and form that is dependently existing. So there is no name and form. Therefore, you don't have to exhaust the name and form. If there is no name and form, then there is no the 6 sense organs. So that's now depicted by a building with 6 windows. So that is the 6 sense doors. We already talked the 6 sense organs do not independently exist, 6 sense doors. And then if there is a 6 doors through which one looks, then there is contact. The contact is usually depicted by someone touching someone. I'll say 2 persons touching each other. So that's usually depicts the contact. The contact does not independently exist. You can't contact something by yourself. You can only contact something with someone or with something by you. So therefore, the contact does not independently exist. Contact only exists dependently. So there is no contact that independently exists. Therefore, there is no exhaustion of contact. So that's that. And then the 7th one is feeling. The feeling is indicated by a person hit by an arrow on his eyes. So the feeling of pleasant feeling or unpleasant feeling. Usually we say, I feel this, I feel this. We don't see our feeling as production, is dependent on our contact. Contact on a comfortable bed, we say, I feel the very nice bed. You sit on a hard bench, you say, I can't sleep on this too hard. So there is no feeling other than that derives from contact. So there is no feeling that independently exists. There is a feeling that dependently exists, and therefore there is no need to exhaust a feeling that independently exists, because it doesn't exist. And so after feeling, then you have the 8th one is the craving. When you feel a soft touch, you want to touch it a lot more. So you have a craving. Craving is indicated by a person drinking alcohol, or thirst, or maybe it could just be water, So the thirst, we have this strong thirst. Even the thirst, our thirst comes from, there's no real thirst that exists from its own side. Thirst comes as a result of, thirst or craving comes from feeling. Feeling pleasant things, and we thirst, we want more of that same thing. So because if it wasn't the feeling and contact, there wouldn't be any craving. How could you crave ice cream? Like, I have never had ice cream until, when was that? 1973. That's a long time for a young man. So when I was 17, I discovered ice cream. Not because it didn't exist, but we never seen them. We never had fridge. So in Rajpur, Dehradun, when I was a young novice, during this Indian guy bringing this little sort of, he's just a vendor, bringing this little trolley and try to sell, we didn't know it exists as ice cream, So only by putting the ice cream in the mouth, then ice cream seems to exist. So then you develop craving. Oh, ice cream man coming, everybody flocks into him. After 2 o'clock, 2 o'clock, everybody goes. So therefore, craving comes from contact and feeling and so on. Craving doesn't exist by itself. Those who have never smoked, they will not crave for smoke, for instance. And so on. So the craving came from contact and feeling, and there is no, when it says there is no craving, means there is no independently existing craving. Of course, there is dependently existing craving due to addiction and past habits and influence and so on. So therefore, there is no need to exhaust truly existing craving, because there is no truly existing craving. Even craving, you shouldn't be too bad. So even your craving is interdependently originated craving, and that could be exhausted, but truly existing craving does not exist. And if you have no craving, there's no clinging. So that's the ninth one. Ninth one is clinging. Clinging is a person picking fruit. It depicted, he put his hands to pick up the fruit. He doesn't want to go to the empty branches or leaves. So he's clinging to particular things. He's clinging to particular fruit. He's not going to pick any of the flowers or the branches or leaves. So we deliberately go after something, don't we? So if we are clinging to something, we already craved it, we already have contacted it before, and something like that. So for instance, when somebody is missing someone, it's because they already had in their presence them sometime. Then they miss, not because you can't miss something you don't have. So you can't miss something you didn't have. So therefore, missing is not truly existing. Missing is a form of attachment. So clinging is also not, there is no truly existing clinging. There is no need to exhaust clinging, because there is no clinging that truly exists. And then the 10th one is becoming. Becoming is indicated by a pregnant woman. And so that's actually meaning how things become. There's no becoming by itself. And a woman doesn't become pregnant just like that. Women become pregnant because she's fertile and she's of the pregnancy age, and she wants to be full pregnant, and she wants to have a partner who wants to have. Only then she can be. So there is no pregnancy that is truly. So becoming pregnant is a consequences of many things. It's not just because of becoming itself. There are a lot of women who want to become pregnant, but they don't. Why? Because not inherently existing becoming. Do you know that? I'm sure some of you may have like that. You want to become pregnant, but I know a lot of people, they want to have child, they couldn't have them. They want to become mother, but they couldn't become. Why? They don't have husband? No, they even have husband, but still they can't have. Why? Because there's no truly existing becoming like a baby. So therefore, whatever things become in your life, you don't think that's me, because they're truly becoming you like that. You're becoming like this today, tomorrow won't be there, next day like that. So there is no truly existing becoming that is neither independently, nor permanent, nor truly existing becoming. So that's the 10th one. 11th one is birth. That's giving birth. So birthing, when a woman giving birth, is the 11th one. Giving birth is a result of becoming pregnant and contacting and getting married and all those things, You don't give birth to someone, a baby, with all the formal causes and conditions. So there is no birthing. There's no birth that independently exists. Therefore, there is no need to exhaust a birth that doesn't exist independently. And the last one, 12th one, is aging and death. Aging and death, that's usually depicted by a person carrying the dead body. So there's no aging and death, no exhaustion of aging and death. So that is called liberation. You need to meditate. Lots of people, when they go sick or they're aging or they're dying or they're losing someone dying, they can't cope it because they think they're really losing someone. If the loss is not to the person, to him or to her, but to you it is. Why? You're attached to him, then is the loss. But those nurses and doctors who've been caring for them for months, they really feel relieved. Oh, good, that one left. There was such a difficult patient. They're probably relieved. They're probably relieved either you got well or you died. So for them, it's not a loss. But loss is only if he has someone who loves him. Some people die that nobody shed a tear because nobody is there in their life. So it's not a loss to anybody. Why? Because there's not truly existing death. That is a loss. To whom is someone's death a loss? Not to the one who died. They don't lose themselves to themselves. So a wife loses a husband, but the husband doesn't lose a husband. Why? There is no husband that truly exists to lose to the husband. To the husband, he's not a husband. His husband is only husband to the wife. So that's why it says that one needs to meditate on these 12 links of interdependent origination. They're not just pictures, We need to meditate on them. In the same way, there is no suffering, no origin, no cessation, no path. Those are the 4 noble truths. And also in a ultimate level, there is no suffering. The suffering does not truly existing. There is an illusory suffering when we are attached to this or that to our body. Then the suffering is relatively existing. But there is no suffering. Doesn't mean there is no suffering. It means there is no suffering that is independent, permanent, inherently existing. Nor is there karma or affliction that is truly existing. If truly existing cause of karma, then it never would change. It will always produce. Because if something is produced something, it could not produce the same thing again. So there's no real truly existing origin, nor is cessation, nor is the path. And then nor is the exalted wisdom. So sometimes people journey without a goal. No exalted wisdom, no attainment, no non-attainment. So these are what we call neither wisdom, no attainment, no non-attainment. So five wisdoms are none other than transformation of the 5 afflictions. So therefore we have 5 afflictions. We haven't lost afflictions. We haven't found a wisdom. It's just we have seen the emptiness of both affliction and wisdom. And so therefore you don't have to attain wisdom. You don't have to lose. Lose affliction, because affliction also do not exist. So there is not a non-attainment, nor there is not a no attainment. So with this, we will now read the rest. Okay. Therefore, Shariputra, because Bodhisattva has no attainment, they depend on and abide on the perfection of wisdom. Because their mind is without obstruction, they are without fear. Having completely passed beyond all error, they go to the completion of nirvana. All Buddhas who abide in the 3 times, having relied upon the perfection of wisdom, became manifestly perfect Buddhas in the state of unsurpassed, perfect, and complete enlightenment. Therefore, mantra of perfection of wisdom is the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the mantra equal to the unequaled, the mantra of thoroughly pacify all suffering. Because it is not false, it should be known as the truth. The mantra of perfection wisdom is proclaimed Tadyatha Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasangate Bodhi Swaha. Shariputra, a bodhisattva, mahasattva should train in the profound perfection wisdom in that way. Then the Blessed One arose from that samadhi and said to the bodhisattva, mahasattva, superior Avalokiteshvara, well done, well done, well done, one of good lineage, it is just so. One of good lineage, it is like that. The profound perfection of wisdom should be practiced just as you have taught it. Even the Tathagatas will rejoice in this. The Blessed One having so spoken, the Venerable Shariputra, the Bodhisattva, the Mahasattva, the Superior Avalokiteshvara, and all that are gathered there, and those of the world, the gods, humans, demigods, Gandharvas, were all filled with admiration and praised the words of the Blessed One. Can we go down? Okay, so let's recite the mantra. Tadyada Om Gade Gade Bara Gade Bara Zang Gade Bodhi Zova. Tadyada Om Gade Gade Bara Gade Bara Zang Gade Bodhi Zova. Tadyada Om Gade Gade Bara Gade Bara Zang Gade Bodhi Zova. Tadyada Om Gade Gade Bara Gade Parasangad Bodhi Zova. Tadyada Om Gade Gade Parangad Parasangad Bodhi Zova. Tadyada Om Gade Gade Parangad Parasangad Bodhi Zova. Tadyada Om Gade Gade Parangad Parasangad Bodhisattva. Now we will use the knowledge of this perfection of wisdom as the great knowledge and swear by it in order to quell and destroy our wrong views that we think is real, whether it's people or our feelings or experiences or memories or situations or whatever the things we are struggling. We swear by the name. We swear by the name of that perfection wisdom, the triple gem, and then we imagine them all vanish into emptiness by doing this practice. Namo, I pay homage to the Master, I pay homage to the Buddha, I pay homage to the Dharma, I pay homage to the Sangha, I pay homage to Blessed Mother, perfection wisdom. By the power of paying homage to you all, may our words of truth triumph. Just as long ago Shakra, the king of gods, through the power of meditating on the profound meaning and reciting the words of Blessed Mother of perfection wisdom, successfully repel all demonic obstacles and evil being and the like, so in the very same way may we also through the power of meditating on the profound meaning and reciting words of Blessed Mother of perfection wisdom be able to repel obstacles and all disharmonious factors. May they be annihilated, may they be pacified. Namo, I pay homage to the Master, I pay homage to Buddha, I pay homage to Dharma, I pay homage to the Sangha, I pay homage to the Blessed Mother of perfection wisdom. By the power of paying homage to you all, may our words of truth triumph. Just as long ago Shakra, the king of the gods, through the power of meditating on the profound meaning and reciting words of the Blessed Mother of the perfection wisdom, successfully repel all demonic obstacles and evil beings and the like, so in the very same way may we also through the power of meditating on the profound meaning and reciting the words of Blessed Mother of the perfection wisdom be able to repel obstacles and disharmonious factors. May they be annihilated, may they be pacified. Namo, I pay homage to the Master, I pay homage to Buddha, I pay homage to Dharma, I pay homage to Sangha, I pay homage to the Blessed Mother of perfection wisdom. By the power of paying homage to you all, may our words of truth triumph. Just as long ago Shakra, the king of gods, through the power of meditating on profound meaning and reciting words of Blessed Mother of perfection wisdom, successfully repel all demonic obstacles and evil being and the like, so in the very same way may we also through the power of meditating on the profound meaning and reciting the words of Blessed Mother of perfection wisdom be able to repel obstacles and disharmonious factors. May they be annihilated, may they be pacified. May all outer and inner obstacles to our attaining complete enlightenment to be totally pacified. So with this now we will do the dedication of merits. Thank you, everybody. So, in this way we need to learn. I'm sure you are able to learn to use the Heart Sutra as understanding of the teaching perfection wisdom we've been listening to, and how you can, slowly read through the Heart Sutra and meditate on section by section, and then try to relate to some things in your life that are bothering, that seems to be difficult in your life, that seems to be difficult in someone's life, and then it is affecting you. And even if it doesn't affect you because you're fairly, quite in your mind, with your mind, but there are a lot who are languishing, struggling. So then try to help them out of compassion. Also, you do this. Some people said, please think of me in your prayers. You do that because we have karmic connection with them, and what we say and do affects them, because they wish us think that way. So I hope that you are able to use the Heart Sutra not only as a part of meditation, reading each day, like people do ceremoniously, but actually pause and meditate and reflect on and intersect the meanings of the text that we have been reading. So I'm sure you are able to do that. Thank you. Now we will do the dedication of merits. Whatever merit I have ever me because the levels to the Mahayana teacher courage manju shinyo as ama Tripitaka following oh the example I should dig all the mere selam body jeda teba hanaya where has been born angry really the degeneration. Thank you, everyone. Bye. See you next week. Take care.